Today we're looking at which one makes more sense for you, the Chase Sapphire Preferred card or the Chase Sapphire Reserve. We'll look at what perks both bring to the table, the pros and cons, but also things to be careful about. Big favor before we dive into everything is to give this a thumbs up to help with the algorithm. If you know someone that might benefit, then share this with them. Starting off with year 1, you're kind of in a good spot if you're eligible for the intro bonus and if you can finish the minimum spend. Feel free to pause, but reminder that there are new Sapphire rules now, which pretty much mean that you only get one bite at the apple. If you're eligible and are able to take that bite though, the math typically makes sense. For me, year 2 and long term is where it gets more interesting. Here you can subsection this into 5 key areas. Number 1 is the effective annual fee, number 2 are multipliers, 3 are redemption options, 4 is lounge access, and 5 are other travel perks. The effective annual fee might be the most important number because it flows into everything else. The lower the number, the less value you need to get elsewhere, and the easier to get into positive expected value. For the Chase Sapphire Preferred card, there's a $95 annual fee. You get up to $50 as an annual Chase travel hotel credit. Even if you discount this credit, you're in a pretty good spot. With the Chase Sapphire Reserve, you have a lot of credits. I have done deep dives in other review videos, so I won't repeat it here, but I'd recommend being brutally honest with yourself. If you don't have a Peloton, you're probably not suddenly buying one because of this. Also, if you want to follow along and update your numbers, I'll link to the calculator down below. And it should also show up if you Google CSP for CSR AskSebby. But yeah, I'll flow into all the other parts we're talking about. Obviously depends on you, but for me and my lifestyle, the most tangible credits are going to be the annual travel credit, StubHub and Viagogo, the dining credit, the Edit by Chase Travel, and Lyft. If you break even or get value, then the card makes sense, since all the other benefits are value ones up. If you're under though, then you might need to catch up with the multipliers. There are a ton of multipliers, so it might be worth punching in the spend you would likely do on the cards into the calculator. And it ends up flowing into the next section accounting for the multipliers. Of these, I think there's 3 key ones that are more impactful. First one is travel booked through Chase Travel after the credits, where you're getting 8x back with the Chase Sapphire Reserve compared to 5x. Same idea of flights and hotels booked directly, where it's 4x instead of 2x. So even if you don't like the credits, you might come ahead from the multipliers. Obviously, it depends on how your travel spend breaks down, but I've seen numbers in the 5K to 50K range per year, so these multipliers can yield a ton of points. If you're on Team Airbnb, then the Chase Sapphire Preferred card probably makes more sense now. Same thing if you drive a lot where tolls might add up. Okay, but what about using the points? So on the surface, the Chase Sapphire Reserve seems like the easy pick, especially with points boost. But the up to number tends to be for business and first class flights. Even if that was your focus, there's arguably a better option, and that's transferring points to partners. This is a giant rabbit hole, and if you want a Chase Transfer Partners cheat sheet, I'll have a link down below to email you. It takes a bit of legwork to start, but once you learn it, it's pretty easy. Let's say I'm in New York and want to go to Dubai. I use Seats Aero to find availability with, let's say, United program, and it's as low as 80k points. Specifically, let's go August 25th. We can either fly United Metal, where there's 9 seats and it's 80k points and $7. We can also use United points to book Swiss business class, since they're both in Star Alliance, and route through Zurich, where there's 4 seats and it's 88k points and about $27 in fees. And yes, these are available on the United site and bookable as of filming. And costs might be even cheaper in some cases if you have the co-branded cards. Pretty wide open seat map for the second cabin. Front cabin is tougher, but yeah, not bad for 80k United and $7. That same business class flight is priced at $4,623 for the one way. As a round trip comes in at about $7,100, so about $3,550 per way. Obviously depends on the prices on the portal and a lot of other factors, but the likely best case you're looking at is about 178k points for that one way. Chase points normally transfer to United at a 1-to-1 rate, so 80k Chase is 80k United. So in effect, you can use about 80,000 Chase points to cover that same one way instead of almost 180k points. The main idea here is that even though there are differences in the redemption rate, the one that matters for most of us here is exactly the same. You also have one other option here. So these two, along with the Ink Business Preferred credit card, allow you to transfer to partners. They also let you pull points from other Chase cards, making the points more valuable and transferable. For most people, the Chase Sapphire Preferred card ends up being the easiest way to unlock this benefit. On that note, if you want to learn about cards, whether Chase or another issuer entirely, and you want to support the channel, we have links on the website, AskSebby.com, and also down below in the description box. Make sure the links are competitive, that they make sense for you, but otherwise it is a huge way to support the channel, so thank you in advance. Lounge access is going to be a big differentiator. Right off the bat, the Chase Sapphire Preferred card doesn't really help you here. For the Chase Sapphire Reserve, it's U plus 2 guests for a priority pass and Chase Sapphire Lounges by the club. It's you and one guest when flying Star Alliance for select Air Canada Maple Leaf lounges and Air Canada cafes in the US, Canada, and Europe. Priority Pass isn't the greatest in the US, but is pretty strong in Asia. Funny enough, this has been a pretty common take since even 7 years ago. Air Canada lounges can be hit or miss, but I've been pleasantly surprised and also should be less crowded since it's harder to get in. Sapphire Lounges have been pretty nice, but footprint is more limited, but also growing pretty fast. There's currently options in Boston, New York JFK, LaGuardia, Philly, Phoenix, and San Diego. Hong Kong operates more like a standard Priority Pass lounge, and Dallas, Vegas, and LA are coming soon. It depends on how often you travel, whether you value these visits, and what you normally do at airports. I typically use the market price, so $5 for a coffee and $15 per cocktail. I usually do a coffee, so the min value is $5. $5 to $10 to snack, $10 to $30 to eat if there's protein. Unless you're bringing protein powder with you, lounges are a pretty good way to hit your targets. It also depends on your job, so if you travel 1 to 2 times a month, lounges are a good backup for the inevitable delays. Otherwise, it's a math equation on value per visit, how often you fly, and how often you actually stop at the lounge. Also, if you go to airports early, which seems to be a big dividing factor. I'd rather be early than late personally. And there's definitely been a ton of times where I pop in for 5 to 15 minutes for a coffee, do a bathroom break, and then head to the gate. Outside of lounges, there are a lot of other travel benefits. I'm not going to go through all of them because there's a ton, but I'll focus on the more interesting ones. With the Chase Sapphire Reserve, you get IHG 1 Rewards Platinum status. This is normally 40 nights or 60k qualified points per year and gets you more bonus points. The main perk is complimentary upgrades, welcome amenity at check-in, and early check-in. You also get this with the IHG 1 Rewards Premier credit card, so it might be a non-factor if you have that card. There's also another credit, but a bit debatable. You get one statement credit of up to $120 every 4 years as reimbursement for the application fee charged to the card for global entry, TSA PreCheck, or Nexus. You also get this with a lot of other travel cards, so you might already have it. Another big difference is trip delay insurance, where the Chase Sapphire Preferred card is 12 hours, while the Chase Sapphire Reserve is 6 hours. So it depends on your airport and also the airline you fly. For 2024, Southwest, Hawaiian, and Delta were the best in terms of cancellations. Frontier, Spirit, and United, the worst. For delays, Hawaiian, Delta, and United were the best and least delayed, while Frontier, JetBlue, and Spirit are the worst. I feel like most times I've flown JetBlue, there's been delays. Especially if there's no lounge to run to, then once you hit 6 hours, trip delay covers expenses up to $500 per ticket per flight. So you could technically go to the most expensive restaurant at the airport and have a great time. There are a lot of terms and conditions though, so I'd read through the terms. It's supposed to be for essentials. Alcohol is usually a big question mark with some older reports getting it denied, while recent ones, it's fine. Your mileage may vary there. Overnight basics like hotels and transportation are usually fine. Just make sure you keep all your receipts. If you travel a lot, you're bound to run into delays, and this is a nice reprieve and escape. Overall, I treat this as a big if statement. If you get value from the credits, then the Chase Sapphire Reserve probably makes more sense. If not though, then the next if statement is whether you spend enough on the increased categories to matter. If not, then it's about travel. So do you visit lounges enough, or do you care about the other perks? If not, but you still want access to transfer partners, then the Chase Sapphire Preferred card is more than serviceable. For year 1 though, for both cards, it makes sense if you can get the intro bonus. Reminder that if you want to run the numbers, link down below, or CSP versus CSR AskSebby on Google and it should pop up. Make sure the maths. Again, if you want to learn about cards, we have links on the website, AskSebby.com, and down below in the description box. And if you're curious, all legal affiliate disclosures can also be found below in the description box. If you made it to this point, first off, thank you for still watching, and number 2, leave a versus emoji in the comments down below, and I'll try to heart it and also respond. 3 questions for you. Number 1, which card do you like better? Number 2, what's the main value prop? Also, what would make you switch? Let me know and everyone else know in the comments down below. Big favorite, thumbs up, share this, but otherwise hope you liked it. See you next time.